Hello and happy Sunday. I'm going to be doing another video today, and a lot of this is just so that I can share with other people the difficulties that I'm having with my district, and maybe some of my pains will help others navigate theirs. So I'm going to start with an email that I sent to Superintendent Jack Hurley on August 13th. And I asked, and I quote, "I am wondering how I learn more about how Pierpont utilizes SEL in their teachings. I do not see any information within the curriculum maps advising of such, and this is something I need to review. Transparency is quite important these days with the world we live in, and I would like to ensure my son is receiving a proper education and not being indoctrinated." End quote. Hurley replied with, "SEL is infused into the climate of each school. It is as simple as making a connection with the student by saying good morning, or asking how their weekend was, or how their baseball game went. There are also activities to allow students to develop a growth mindset, encouragement for what they accomplish, as opposed to criticizing them for what they didn't achieve within the mindset developed to keep improving. For more details regarding SEL, you should contact Mrs. Carrion." End quote. I did contact Mrs. Carrion, and Mrs. Carrion lied to me. I had asked her if I could opt out of social emotional learning, and her response was, quote, "There is no provision to opt out of social emotional learning," end quote. When I asked to see any of the educational materials, websites, resources that they'll be using for the social emotional learning instruction, her reply was, quote, "Information about SEL instruction is embedded in various curricula for grade 6. The curriculum is available online on the district website and is updated as the Board of Ed approves each course. I have also attached the SEL competencies that the NJDOE requires schools to infuse into the curriculum." End quote. Now that's Principal Joan Carrion. I went and started doing a little digging on the Department of Education's website, and I learned they do not require SEL in our schools. Each district has autonomy on if they're going to implement it or not. So I went back and I proved that to her. And her reply back to me was basically the Board of Education approved it as a district goal in an August Board of Ed meeting. So now she's telling me that this is the Board of Education's doing. She has not actually admitted that she lied and was wrong in the beginning about the Department of Education requiring this. I don't expect her to admit it either. Anytime that I have shown her proof of something, she does not acknowledge it, if you will. At least that's been my perception. But anyway, so let me back on track because I want to make this quick. The curriculum is not on our website. It is not on our Board of Education website anywhere at all. I have looked, and I can't seem to find it. Now, this past Friday, my son had to do a social emotional learning activity in his math class that had to do with empathy and kindness. What does that have to do with math? Why are we taking valuable math time? The one course that my child struggles with a little bit, he's a straight A student, but math kind of gets him once in a while. That is the most important class in that school that I feel that my son needs, and they're taking valuable time for an SEL activity, which again, it's not mandated by the state, it's not required by law, you don't need to you don't need to have it to graduate high school, but we're forcing it on our children. Now, when the Board of Ed approved it, they said it was because of the social isolation and anxiety due to the COVID pandemic. Well, not all children felt that. In fact, there was plenty who fared quite well, my son being one of them. So this seems like it should be more of a case-by-case situation and not something that they should blanket across our entire district from K through 12. And it's fishy because you don't see it in the curriculum anywhere. The only place that I have been able to find that they discuss SEL being approved was in that Board of Education meeting notes. And not everybody has time to go back and read those. So why isn't there more transparency about this? Why isn't there more communication with parents about what's happening, what they're doing with their children? This is big. And to have a medical clinician on site, which I believe is there, based on the verbiage that I read, I believe she is there to help children and families, which is wonderful. I think that's great that we have that resource. We are very lucky to have that. But I believe she's also to oversee the learning process of the social emotional learning, or the tools that the teachers will be using, or how they go about it. And that's concerning because she's a medically trained professional. These teachers aren't. They don't have the credentials that she has. They didn't go to medical school, medical science. They don't have that. So what makes them capable to teach this to our children? This is something that's so delicate, and if done wrong, you can really mess these kids up. Really can. And that's my concern. That's really my concern. Tomorrow I'm going to have to deal with the district because they gave my son that SEL activity on Friday that I specifically wrote in multiple emails. My son is not to do that activity until we have cleared all this up. It's October 24th. I've been dealing with this since the summer, trying to get answers. And it's funny because when I spoke with Mr. Hurley in the email, when we were emailing, he never mentioned that SEL was going to be approved in the Board of Ed meeting that was to follow 10 days later. He just pushed me off on Principal Carry-On, who doesn't have any information for me, and anytime she gives me information, it's wrong. And then I go digging, and I prove to her that it's wrong, and it's just rolled right over. So, okay, that's it. I hope some of my pains are helping any of you, and this is going to be the tool that I will be using to document my experiences, what's going on in our district, and potentially help other parents in other districts who might be going through some of the same issues that I'm going through. You can always reach out to me. I'm happy to try to help anybody. Kids are important. They are just so innocent right now, and it's so easy to twist their mind into a different way that it shouldn't be done. And we have to be very careful. And I'm going to keep trying to get answers, and that's all. All right, well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and thanks for watching.